What if the most important truths people discover about life arrive when there is almost no time left to use them? At 92 years old, many people stop talking about the future. But something strange happens in the final years of life that researchers did not fully understand until recently. As the body slows down, the mind often becomes brutally honest. Hidden regrets rise to the surface. Forgotten memories return with shocking clarity. And millions of older Americans quietly realize they spent decades chasing things that never truly mattered. But by then, most believe it is too late to change anything. That belief may be the greatest mistake of all. A 92-year-old man sat in a hospital chair and said something his family did not expect. "I need to tell you something before I go." Everyone assumed he meant money, inheritance, or final wishes. But that was not it. What he wanted to explain was far more unsettling. He said the biggest danger in life is not failure. It is distraction. And science increasingly suggests he may have been right. For decades, researchers studying aging and emotional well-being have tracked patterns among older adults in the United States. One of the most famous projects, the Harvard study of adult development, followed participants across entire lifetimes. The researchers expected wealth, career status, or intelligence to predict happiness and resilience in old age. But that is not what they found. The strongest predictor of emotional well-being after 70 was not success. It was the quality of relationships, emotional purpose, and psychological flexibility. In other words, many people spend the first half of life climbing ladders that eventually lean against the wrong wall, but most do not notice early enough. The origins of this problem begin in early adulthood. People are taught to pursue achievement first and emotional balance later. Work harder, buy more, impress people, stay busy. By age 25, many already believe exhaustion equals progress. Emotional neglect becomes normalized. Friendships weaken. Families become secondary to survival and ambition. At first, it feels productive, but hidden underneath that lifestyle, a slow emotional trade. People sacrifice peace for validation. And modern American culture rewards it. By the 40s, the changes start becoming visible, but quietly. Stress becomes chronic. Sleep worsens. Marriages feel emotionally distant. Health habits deteriorate slowly. According to CDC surveys, rates of anxiety, loneliness, and chronic stress rise sharply during middle age, especially among adults juggling financial pressure and caregiving responsibilities. But here is the dangerous part. Most people convince themselves this is temporary. They believe peace will come later. After retirement, after the mortgage. After the kids grow up. After one more promotion. Yet researchers studying emotional aging discovered a disturbing pattern. People who delay meaning and connection for too long often struggle to reconnect later in life. Emotional habits become deeply wired. Isolation becomes comfortable. Busyness becomes identity. And then comes the shift after 70 that almost nobody prepares for. Silence. The distractions disappear. Retirement removes structure. Friends begin dying. Physical limitations slow movement. Suddenly, people spend more time alone with their own thoughts than ever before. And according to geriatric psychologists, this stage often triggers what is called life review, a psychological process where older adults reevaluate the meaning of their entire life. This is where hidden regret becomes visible. Not regret about failure, regret about absence. Absence from family moments, absence from meaningful relationships, absence from personal dreams. Postponed to long. Many seniors report realizing they spent years physically present, but emotionally unavailable. That realization can hit with terrifying force after 80. And the fallout spreads far beyond emotion. Research from the National Institute on Aging shows chronic loneliness and emotional isolation increase risks for depression, cardiovascular disease, cognitive decline, and even premature death. In some studies, prolonged loneliness carried health risks comparable to smoking. Yet millions of older Americans still believe independence means emotional self-sufficiency. That outdated belief is destroying people quietly and The failed fixes make it worse. Some seniors try distracting themselves with television, routines, or isolation. Others refuse emotional conversations because vulnerability feels uncomfortable after decades of emotional suppression. Some convince themselves the past cannot be changed, so reflection is pointless. But psychology says the opposite. Reflection without action creates despair. Reflection with honesty creates growth. That is the part most people never hear. Even after 70, the brain remains emotionally adaptable. Studies on neuroplasticity show older adults can still form new emotional habits, repair relationships, reduce stress patterns, and improve mental resilience when meaningful behavioral changes occur consistently. Which brings us back to the 92-year-old man. What did he really want to say before he was gone? Not that life was unfair, not that aging was painful. But that most people waste too much time pretending the wrong things matter. He said people spend decades protecting pride while starving connection. They delay forgiveness, delay honesty, delay joy, delay rest, delay telling people they matter. Then suddenly, life becomes shorter than expected. And by the time many realize what truly mattered, their energy, health, or opportunities have already changed. That truth is uncomfortable because it applies to millions of people right now. Today. Not someday. Right now. The person constantly postponing happiness. The person avoiding difficult conversations. The person emotionally disconnected from family while chasing endless productivity. The person assuming there will always be more time later. Researchers studying aging repeatedly found that emotional fulfillment in old age is strongly connected to how intentionally people live earlier in life. Small daily choices compound across decades. So do emotional habits. That means the future many seniors experience is quietly being built long before retirement begins. So what can people over 60 start doing immediately? First, stop delaying meaningful conversations. Speak honestly while there is still time. Emotional closure matters more than most people realize. Second, rebuild connection intentionally. Call friends. Strengthen family bonds. Join communities. Isolation accelerates emotional and physical decline faster than many diseases. Third, protect time instead of only protecting money. Many older adults later realize they spent years guarding finances while wasting moments they can never recover. And here is the warning experts increasingly emphasize. Distracted life can feel successful for decades before revealing itself as emotionally empty. But there is one final thought worth sitting with. Tonight, if you reached 92 years old and had one final chance to tell younger generations the truth about life, what would you warn them not to waste? That question alone might change the way you live tomorrow morning. If this message spoke to you, take a moment to like and share it with someone who needs to hear it today. And in the comments, answer honestly, what do you think people regret most at the end of life? Subscribe now, because in the next video, we're uncovering the hidden habits that emotionally fulfilled seniors quietly practice every single day that most people completely overlook until it is too late.